What is it?
This is Gavin Newsom.
Who is he with?
It's a surprise for the audience. This video is called "Is Free Speech Under Attack?" ? Obviously, free speech is under attack. You know, Donald Trump's FCC has been waging a war against broadcasting networks. They've cut the funding to PBS. They have sued other companies like Paramount into these ridiculous settlements to try to get critics of Trump fired. You know, it's complete cronyism and complete crackdown on free speech. You can look at the way that he's trying to censor certain things out of government bodies, like how the CDC or whatever can't talk about transgender people existing. You can look at the crackdown on trying to control the curriculums at colleges across America and trying to withhold funding based on that. So yeah, free speech is absolutely under attack by the fascists in the White House. Gavin Newsom has a supporter of Trump on this episode. So we're going to find out who that is in a second.
This is Gavin Newsom. And tune in for more with Dr. Phil.
Hey!
Well, look,
Fuck. What a guy.
Dr. Phil, let's go.
Appreciate everything you said, but I also appreciate the spirit that behind it. And I think, look, it's one of the reasons we started this podcast. And it's been really interesting, Dr. Phil. It's really underscored.
You can't just call him his name, Phil.
No, because he went to medical school.
Did he?
The nature of...
He didn't
you've
go
talked a lot
through
about
4
cancel
years
culture.
of medical school to be called Mr.
Didn't Oprah put a sword on his shoulder and name a doctor? I thought that's how he got his doctorate.
I don't think she has the power to raise knights.
I think you're underestimating the power of Oprah.
Sure, and this incapacity
Where's she been the last
to be willing
30 years?
Hiding from Trump in another country.
to engage people.
She's like 6th on the Epstein list now.
I hope not.
The Trump-approved Epstein list with Oprah and Obama and shit.
You may disagree with, and as you say, focus on the things we have in common. But it's interesting how quick people are to judge and how quickly we are all judged.
This came out a month ago. This was June 6th.
And you've talked a lot about cancel culture and this incapacity to be willing to engage people you may disagree with. But it's interesting how quick people are to judge and how quickly we are all judged. I imagine just the response you got coming out of that Madison Square Garden rally. I imagine just now.
Yeah, you actually kind of should judge people when they go to Nazi rallies, I feel. That's totally
He's
fine.
asleep.
Yeah, he's not looking his best, huh? His like neck staple came undone or something. Like, this is not good.
What more can we be doing? What can we be doing to soften the edges of this discourse and begin the process of being repairers, proverbially, of the breach?
Do you think freedom of speech is under attack?
I think it is. And I've made this point. One of the reasons
Yeah. Yeah, I think it is. Do you think freedom of speech is under attack? Look at what's going on, dude. This is not good. Dr. Phil is dying. He's spending his last days talking to Gavin Newsom on his terrible podcast.
We're all dying.
Do you think freedom of speech is under attack? It's like, bro, I think your white blood cells are under attack. I don't know. Like, this isn't good.
I've long admired Bill Maher and gone on a show doesn't
Drinking my Pedialyte.
times
Stay alive.
since my mayor days. I didn't like the way
Yeah.
he was being attacked. The freedom of speech, his expression was being attacked.
Bill Maher was being attacked for freedom of speech. Fuck Bill Maher.
William Maher?
We should we can maybe watch some Bill Maher at some point. Some of the Club Random shit.
In my own UC campuses. I've watched cancel culture.
Some base shit,
never
like
been a
Shaking
champion of cancel
Street.
culture. Of course, I've seen it on all sides. We saw it with Bud Light. We saw it with Target last year. I think it's out of control.
You know, it seems to be worse in California than, I've moved back to Texas, and
I'm sorry. Cancel culture is worse in California than Texas. Your governor,
Hot Wheels.
the governor of Texas, is threatening to imprison Democratic legislatures who are trying to obstruct from their redistricting Texas to gerrymander away any chance of people having proper representation and having their votes being heard.
Speaking of gerrymandering, did you see Gavin Newsom's tweet? Or retweet, actually?
No. As of today, you mean, or what?
Last night, where they redistrict California to like exclude all Republicans, and he retweeted it with the eye emoji.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, okay, so I didn't see that specifically, but he's been talking about that for a long time. How do you feel about that? Because I feel like it's fine. We should redistrict away all the Republicans at this point. They're Nazis and they don't represent people. So
they did the same. They're already doing the same to us. So like, why the fuck not?
Yeah, it's like so democracy is over, I guess, and it's just a race to who can redistrict each other.
Is.
Yeah.
The Joe Biden like let's heal the nation is not going to work ever again. at least for another like 6 presidents, provided it's not just Trump's. The temperature of the country is way too high. It'll never happen.
Whenever people talk about like California seceding from the union or whatever, I honestly am sympathetic to that in some way. Like I
I
understand.
used to not be, but now I'm like,
Yeah, I mean, well, here's the thing, right? 'Cause I think like the West Coast can maybe be its own thing. Like we'll take California, Oregon, Washington, maybe our neighbor states
We
like
won't have NASA,
Arizona,
though.
Nevada, like those states. Not Idaho, because they're like the one state that still doesn't have weed legalized. But, you know, we'll take all the nice states around us with us, and we can be in liberal utopia on the West Coast. The problem with that is that we will be next door to a fascist country, right? A fascist
I mean, yeah.
imperialist country that's already committing one ethnic cleansing.
that has all the tanks and all the nukes and all the fucking
Yeah, exactly.
Gestapo.
Yep. So it's like we can't just leave this one, you know. We can't just ignore the fight and go do our own thing, unfortunately.
That's the hero's journey, though. You gotta leave and then like come back leveled up.
Well, we can't leave. We can't. There's no peace with fascists, right? We can't start our own liberal utopia because, firstly, the fascists won't let us go. California is the world's 4th largest economy all on its own, right? Like, we carry this nation in so many ways, and they're not going to let us
We
go.
have the culture.
I'm just saying, like,
Yeah, we
forget
have
about
Hollywood.
forget about culture, forget about art, forget about all that shit, forget about the universities here, forget
The
about
Getty.
well, yeah, forget about all the scientific progress, forget about Silicon Valley and everything, just the economy itself overall as a whole. You know, forget about all the agriculture that we, you know, forget, you know, this state, we pay like net $80 billion to the federal government every year to subsidize the other states, you know, so I don't think they'll let that go. But even if they do, and even if we form our own country, you can't live in peace next to Nazi Germany, right? Like you can't live in peace next to a militarized fascist country. They need to be defeated one way or another. And I think that it's better to stay and fight. I don't see how it's any different if California is its own country.
You know,
What
no
you
place is
said, I
perfect,
probably
but,
agree.
Okay.
yeah, I see things like, what was it, Berkeley, where Ann Coulter got canceled. They said it was for security concerns.
And culture.
Fuck Ann Coulter. If somebody like calls in a bomb threat and your event gets canceled, right? Obviously that's wrong. I think they should let Ann Coulter speak her retarded ass off at that, you know, at her conference or whatever, right? But
You can always have security. But
That Milo guy, I can't remember his name. I remember sort of the peak of that cancel.
yeah, do you remember? Hey, what if Gavin Newsom mentions the drunken peasants right now?
Imagine.
Do you think Gavin Newsom knows what the drunken peasants is? Does Gavin Newsom know who Paul is?
I think there's a chance that he has been like briefed on the name a
drunken
while
peasants, the ones who got
one year
Milo
after the other.
Yiannopoulos canceled. Yeah.
The obscure alt-right podcast, yeah.
Milo got canceled because he spoke positively about priest raping altar boys. Okay.
The law is probably about right. That's probably roughly the right age. I think it's probably about okay. But there are certainly people who are capable of giving consent at a younger age. I certainly consider myself to be one of them. People who are sexually active younger. Some of those relationships between younger boys and older men, the sort of coming of age relationships, the relationships in which those older men help those young boys to discover who they are and give them security and safety and provide them with love and a reliable sort of a rock where they can't speak to their parents. Some of those relationships are some
like
of the
priest
most.
molestation to me. It sounds
Yeah, well,
like
you know what?
it
You know
sounds
what?
like
I'm
Catholic
grateful.
priest molestation to me.
And you know what? I'm grateful for Father Michael. I wouldn't give nearly such good head if it wasn't for him.
Oh my
look,
god!
it's
Oh my god! I can't handle
It's
it.
funny.
Whatever. And he also got canceled by conservatives. That was like CPAC or whoever, you know, whatever convention he was going to speak at, canceled him. And then his conservative company that was going to publish his books dropped him.
Breitbart, right?
I don't remember. No. So he worked for Breitbart, the publication, but I don't think they were his book publisher. I don't know though.
you know, why do you think that is? When I went to school,
Why do you think Milo Yiannopoulos was canceled? All he said is it's okay if priests fuck children. Like, this is just two people who don't even know what they're talking about. Why was Milo Yiannopoulos canceled? Because he's a pederast. Why was Ann Coulter canceled? Because she's a white nationalist. Like, what? What do you mean? Like, there's plenty of reasons to cancel both of these people.
a long time ago, But we always, if somebody was coming that we disagreed with,
What did Harvey Weinstein even do to get canceled?
I always wanted to go hear what they had to say, so I had ammunition
Amen.
to debate them with or
Thank you.
back their positions with. And you never grow until you just prove yourself, until you find something wrong with the way you look at it. But it seems like in California, we've got the heckler's veto.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you say California has the heckler's veto? Like, because Ann Coulter can't speak at a college campus? Bro, Ron DeSantis bans books. Doesn't Texas ban books? Sources. Check the sources. I believe
Yes.
Texas bans like books about fucking like actual American history of racism and fucking anything gay. Like from like schools
Heartstopper.
and everything. Yeah. Well, for sure Florida banned Heartstopper, but I'm saying like they fucking Mouse got banned from one of those states. Like, they're fascists who censor people all the time. Doesn't Texas require like a driver's license to look at fucking porn?
Yes.
Yeah, crazy, draconian,
Florida.
invasive. Yeah, trying to censor what you can teach people, what people can know, what people can talk about, trying to force people back into the closet, trying to hide the history of this country from people so you can propagandize them. It's gross.
Like, boo them down.
Like, do we really want a nation filled with idiots who are uninformed about reality? How is that better for America?
Or block them from coming. And I see it at Berkeley, UCLA, USC. And it just seems like, how are we ever going to broaden our perspectives if we don't get out of the bubble and at least listen to the other side?
To listen to Milo Yiannopoulos talk about priests fucking little boys? Like, what? Like, that's what we should listen to? Why don't you just hear them out? I don't understand why you're canceling this Milo guy. What did he do? It's like, what? You don't know the lore? Like, how do you not know
Gavin
that?
Newsom probably knows it way better than Dr. Phil.
Well, he was like, well, I don't know what's going on
Milo
with this
who?
Milo guy. Yeah, Milo what? Yee and Whoopalops? Like,
I don't agree with that SOB.
Exactly.
You've got to hear them to do it.
I couldn't agree with you more. It needs to be called out. I've been trying to do what I can on that. I mean, be candid. That's why I've been calling out all these book bans. 4,240
yeah, thank you. Exactly. This is what I was just talking about.
books and titles were banned last year in this country. I mean, we're censoring, speech in the boardroom, not just in the classroom. You've got folks are rewriting history. You've talked a lot about that, but on both sides of the aisle. I mean, they were trying to, one textbook in Florida tried to take out Rosa Parks' race.
Don't pretend like there's this false equivalency of liberal states banning conservative books, okay? That's not happening. The governments in like California or fucking Washington or Oregon or Minnesota or wherever, New York, we're not banning books from libraries. We're not, that's not going on.
And said, oh no, she was just a woman who wanted to move, needed to move her seat. So I think we have to own up to this. And I think, again, there's plenty of
What does Dr. Phil think about that? Oh, actually, I like Ron DeSantis.
fingers to point, or at least plenty of people that we can point to. But all of us need to look in the mirror on this issue. I agree with you.
Has California taken a position on transgender athletes? I have.
Brand's cock is always on their fucking minds.
Yeah, I know. Who even think like this is so crazy? What a gotcha too. Like, fuck, he mentioned Ron DeSantis banning books. Transgender athletes. Like,
Who fucking cares? High school fucking sports?
hey, Dr. Phil, I'm sick of assholes like you trying to cancel transgender athletes, actually. Like, I guess we could, I'm really sick of cancel culture. Anyways, get those damn trannies out of our sports. Like, fuck you. Fucking hypocrite. Nothing to do with anything that's being talked about.
The best part.
And also, California isn't a monolith, right? California is a state where 14% of the country lives. We don't all agree on transgender athletes. And also, they have human rights. So fuck you.
I hadn't seen what the latest.
Well, it did in 2013. In 2013, Governor Brown signed a bill allowing for people to participate. There was 2 bills in the California legislature, Dr. Phil, just a few weeks ago. Neither got out of the committee to change that rule. So it currently is law in the state of California. We're also just trying to balance some grace, some humility, some humanity, particularly with transgender youth that just want to survive.
And be champions. Yeah, I mean, because here's the thing. It like these sports records or whatever, like maybe at a professional level that matters. Here's the issue, okay? There are women who were born women, right? Like cisgender women who could probably kick my ass. There's women like UFC fighters probably or something. Like there's black belts. There's women who are black belts, who could probably beat me up or whatever. Just because you're a man and typically men can beat women, are stronger, faster than women, doesn't mean that every man is going to be strong. Yeah. It doesn't mean that every man is going to be better than a woman. So, and when you're talking about transgender people, they go on hormone blockers at different points. They go through, they mature at different rates through puberty. Like there could be a cisgender woman, like that boxer, right, in the Olympics that they lied about and tried to say was transgender, but there was never any evidence of her being transgender.
Oh yeah,
there was like some Russian boxing federation said she had too much testosterone in her blood or whatever, but
I think Putin weighed in on it too.
Sometimes women are just born like that and go through puberty like that. That doesn't mean that she was born not a female, right?
Some women are bigger than others.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, it's like there are cases like that where like a woman who is cisgender, female assigned at birth or whatever, will be able to outcompete other women or even some men. It happens. Think about all the transgender athletes who don't win their championships, right? Who come in lower ranked places. Think of all the times transgender athletes don't win the competitions they're in. That has to mean, as a matter of fact, that being transgender alone does not guarantee you a victory against a cisgender woman. So it's a lot more nuanced than people like Dr. Phil try to make it out to be.
Be belittled and demeaned at this.
And of course, there's the more fundamental issue of transgender people having the right to participate in society to the fullest extent of any other person.
It's a very tough issue, and I know you've tackled that issue. I think you've done it reasonably thoughtfully. I think you've tried to find the nuances here, but it's an incredibly difficult issue. And I say this as someone who's been an advocate for trans rights, but I do not think it's fair, these athletic competitions.
Well, this is one of the things where I say that I believe that activists are pushing an agenda.
Yeah, activists are always pushing an agenda. That's what makes them activists. They're activists because they're actively trying to push an agenda. Idiot. What agenda is it? Are they trying to trans the children? Like, what does he think? Let's hear about their transgender conspiracy.
Gender individuals on the show over the last 25 years. And I can tell you that they have said to me on the air and off, mostly off the air, that they wish those people would shut up. These shrill activists that are pushing these extreme positions. They're not
What extreme position? That transgender children should be allowed to play sports? That extreme position, that's the extreme position they're pushing?
speaking for us. They're not speaking for the community at large.
That transgender people should be allowed to use the bathroom like any other human in our society and not forced to go to a bathroom with the opposite gender than what they identify with, like every other human in society? Is that the radical activism they're pushing? What other radical activism are they pushing?
I have no clue.
And they say, look, we're living our lives, and there are enough challenges as it is without them pushing these extreme controversial issues
Like what?
that we don't particularly ascribe to.
Like what?
They're not helping us. That's something that they are just trying to rewrite biology on, or they're trying to make a
No. They're not trying to rewrite biology. The people who are confused about biology are the biological essentialists who think that biology determines gender, who don't see... They engage in bad faith with this discussion because obviously the way that people look at gender in society, it's extrapolated from biological sex, right? Someone who's born male is expected to become a man, but what being a man is a behavioral social thing, right? It's how other people see you and expect and what they expect from you. And it's how you behave in a model of what a man is, basically. So you dress a certain way, you have a certain amount of activities. Now, a big part of your biology may fuel that, but a lot of that is social conditioning. We train children how to behave like the gender they're assigned, which in my mind is brainwashing. There's this whole thing about, idiots like Dr. Phil who may or may not feel like children are being pushed into being transgender, but the reality is that in our culture, children are pushed into being a certain gender, and it's performing the role of the gender that they're assigned by their society. I say all these radical things. I'm very much a gender atheist, I guess. I look at gender like it's sort of a religion, and I think that people should be free to choose whatever religion they want. If this were a role-playing game or something, and in the character creation screen, you're able to choose your gender, if that ability exists, then I think that it's a imperative right that people be allowed to choose it. If the ability to choose it exists, then for the state to deny through authoritarian violence the right for people to choose that is monstrous. So it's important that transgender people have the same rights as people who aren't transgender, or even people who don't necessarily view gender the way they view gender. And that extends to everything. That extends to bathrooms, that extends to sports. You know, you can look at it case by case for individual sports, but again, the existence of transgender athletes who don't automatically outperform all their cisgender teammates invalidates the idea that simply because someone's transgender, they're automatically going to have an unfair advantage. They're automatically going to win. A little bit of a digression there.
Trans rights are human rights.
Absolutely. Trans rights are human rights. But to go back to this, they're not engaging with that conversation, honestly, right? So they're not saying like, oh, we understand that gender is separate from biology, right? They won't say that. What they'll say is that your gender is intrinsic to your biology. And that because you're born a certain way, the things that are immutable about that are actually what gender is. And the behavioral social aspects of it aren't what gender is. But that's just not how gender works in society, you know? Like that's like throughout all of history, society has had specific roles based on genders. And that's not true of every society. Obviously, there are more egalitarian societies or societies that become more liberalized and are able to look at people beyond just their gender. But for the most part, for human history, gender has been associated with specific social roles and behaviors, not just your biological sex. So it's disingenuous to pretend like biological reductionism is the way that people talk about gender when it isn't.
A battleground, and and they do it effectively. I had Professor Carol Hooven on from Harvard University, and she didn't even do the research. She was just
I just love how it's like, yeah, is banning books in Florida. Well, what do you think about trans athletes?
Like a non sequitur.
I know, completely ridiculous.
Did a meta-analysis on, I think it was 50 plus studies to see whether or not you could balance the playing field if you have testosterone blockers, if you have hormone suppression therapy for the required 2 years.
What does this have to do with fucking anything?
And the meta-analysis conclusion for good methodology with good right number of subjects, and they concluded you just can't get there.
So the claim he's making is that transgender athletes have an unfair advantage in swimming. So we would have to, the way that we would check that, I guess, is to look at statistics for transgender athletes in swimming competitions. So let's look up that real quick. I want you all to remember this channel has gone on many adventures in the few short months that we've been doing it. But one thing we always do is we always fact check. We want to make sure that we're doing our work to be enlightened, right? Like good liberal Luciferian agents for the new Dark Order. We want to make sure that we are spreading illumination, insight, true wisdom. That's important. This is from GLAAD, so I don't know if they'll accept it. It might just be propaganda.
It is propaganda, but it's our propaganda. It's a lot of links. They source their claims. Don't they know LGBT people require dark mode?
Athletes come in all shapes and sizes, including physical advantages helpful to their sports, such as Michael Phelps' long arms and Simone Biles' compact size, that help them excel. Yet those physical attributes have never been used to restrict or ban their participation. Being an athlete is more than okay, so that's another good point, right? So like Michael Phelps genetically is predispositioned to be a great swimmer, right?
I think it has to do with like the work he put into also.
Yeah, but I'm saying like he does have a just the way that his like arm span is, for example, right? Which is determined by genetics. So why is it okay for someone like Michael Phelps to participate, but not someone who may have an unfair advantage because they're born transgender? A systematic review of literature relating to sports participation and competitive sports policies reported that there is no direct or comprehensive evidence of transgender women having an athletic advantage over their cisgender counterparts at any stage of transition due to the lack of quantitative research on the subject. This made it difficult to draw any definitive conclusions. Only one of the papers in the systematic review took any physical attributes into account. Sports and Transgender People, a systematic review of the literature relating to sports participation and competitive sport policies. We are down the fucking rabbit hole. This is by the National Library of Medicine, published here. Results. This is all we care about, okay? We're not going to go through the whole thing. In relation to sport-related physical activity, this review found the lack of inclusive and comfortable environments to be the primary barrier to participation for transgender people. This review also found transgender people had mostly negative experience in competitive sports because of the restrictions the sports policies placed on them. The majority of transgender competitive sport policies that were reviewed were not evidence-based. Conclusion: currently there is no direct or consistent research suggesting transgender female individuals have an athletic advantage at any stage of their transition, and therefore competitive sport policies that place restrictions on transgender people need to be considered and potentially revised. So this is a study here. We're not going to go through it all, but I'm going to link it in the sources. This goes into the methods here, the selection stage. The majority of the studies were qualitative in nature, all of which employed interviews. The remaining 2 research were blah, 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 blah. Most studies were concerned with transgender people who participated in sport competitively at an elite or recreational level. The point is that it's inconclusive that there's going to be an unfair advantage. We've already kind of gone over all the reasons why, even if there was an unfair advantage, it isn't a good reason to exclude them from the sport, because athletes are born genetically with advantages all the time, and we don't exclude them from sports. So fuck Dr. Phil, fuck Gavin Newsom for not saying that. Like, I don't know, like not pointing that out.
Completely dropped out of the university.
Yeah.
They're transphobic,
Yeah.
spawning hate speech.
Yeah.
We had,
Well, doctor, trust me, I know a thing or two about this. I expressed my point of view. I lost a few. We don't need to have a public therapy session here, but I lost some good friends. Like, I mean, they won't talk to me. I appreciate they felt hurt. They felt that a point of view was, somehow diminishing. As someone who's been an advocate that I put up against any other elected official,
So, I mean, Gavin, I would just ask you that, like, why, first of all, the fact that transgender athletes lose proves that they're not automatically going to win. The other point is that athletes are born with genetic advantages all the time, like Michael Phelps, for example. Athletes are born all the time with special dispositions, you know?
I have a very strong record, as you know. I think the first time I was on your show was on the issue of LGBT rights, and I've been an advocate for decades and decades. But on the
That's true. Gavin Newsom has been a strong supporter of gay rights. He really has been, and I think for the most part, transgender rights. I know in one of the previous videos we did, I talked about how I'm a fan of Gavin Newsom because of his advocacy for gay rights, and I remember as a kid watching him talk before legalization, before DOMA was struck down. California was the first, they performed the first gay marriage under Gavin Newsom's instructions in the nation here. I'll put the sources for that in here again, but in a previous video, I go more into it. So he does have a good record on this, right? This is the thing with Gavin. It's like, he's a politician, so you can't really trust what he says. And he says both good and bad things, but overall he does more good things than bad things, I think, like in terms of actual policy that he passes. So here, this is very clearly a shameless run for president or whatever, where he's trying to be a centrist and appeal broadly. But what he did with, criminalizing the book bannings, all that kind of shit, like it's been good stuff. Like the collective bargaining with fast food employees too is another good thing that we've done, the healthcare expansions under Gavin Newsom. Like, there's a lot of good things that he has done. So he's not just a one-sided villain. It's more complex than that.
The issue of sports and what you just, you laid out as it relates to many different factors that are unique and regardless of puberty blockers. I just think this issue we have to address, and to not address, we are in denial.
Well, that's a good point, because I remember when you were there and you and I agreed on that. We were both advocates for LGBTQ rights, but...
All right, I think I'm done with this. We watched a little bit of it, almost half of it. I don't really care about the rest. I think we've made a lot of good points in this about free speech, cancel culture, and trans rights.
I want to reiterate that trans rights are human rights, and we
trans
stand
rights are human rights.
Trans
absolutely,
brothers and sisters and MBs.
Uh-huh.
Here at Alchemist Productions,
here at Alchemist Soil, we are absolutely. In
the Alchemist soil.
Yeah. I'm an ally to transgender people, to any sort of minority in that way, whose existence is constantly under attack, who's constantly being undermined in that way. And I know what that's like a little bit. Yeah. Thank you guys for watching this video. Hopefully it was entertaining for you. Please subscribe if you enjoy the content.